A massive dose of radiation bonds petty criminal William Baker's body to sand, creating a massive threat to Spider-Man. Hey guys, and welcome to my Marvel Legends Spider-Man Wave Sandman. So before we get onto the figure, we'll just take a quick look at the packaging. Hey guys, so for the packaging we have the traditional Marvel Comics retro Spider-Man packaging background cover. Then we have a product image, Marvel's Sandman, plus a little show of what he comes with. Then a clear view of the figure in a clear plastic window. Warning, choking hazard, small parts not for children under 3 years, by Hasbro, and the price I paid. Nice picture of Spider-Man there with the classic Spider-Man logo. Then on the back, we continue the same sort of Spider-Man classic Marvel cover with this nice purple. Another product image, a sort of diorama which shows you how the parts connect, and then a little description of the character, plus all some legal guff which no one is interested or wants to read. So overall, really nice packaging, just like all the others in the retro card figures. Okay, so taking a look at Sandman. Now, this is a Sandman figure that has just recently come out in the UK, and it was a figure that I'd actually planned to get for Christmas, but I walked into my local Forbidden Planet and he was there, so I thought, you know what, I better grab him because I can picture this figure selling out quite quickly. So, taking a look at him, this is probably the most human-looking Sandman figure that's available on the market at the moment. You know, especially when you have him just like this, he looks like just a standard generic person. So, honestly, I have positives and I have negatives about this figure. I struggle to know what to think of it, to be honest. I have to admit, when I first took it out the box, I didn't think much of it. In fact, I actually thought, wow, like, this is the best they could do. But I must admit, it's growing on me. It is actually growing on me. I don't know what it is. So, this, as I said, is his human look. This is the most sort of Flint Marko figure that we've ever gotten. Probably also very close to the Diamond Select Sandman. You know, it's like without the sand pieces, he just looks like a regular guy. Until, of course, you attach his sand pieces. And that's what really makes him out to be the Sandman. It's the only way you can really tell. I like his size, especially when you compare him to the Spider-Man figure, the Ultimate Articulated Spider-Man. You know, from the same line. I think he comes in very nice. You know, he's not ridiculously small. He's actually bigger than I thought when I first saw him, which is good. Pardon me. But the biggest thing that I have, the biggest gripe I have, has to be the head sculpt. I kind of like it, but I kind of don't. I don't think that this should have been the standard head sculpt. I think it should have been the solemn face, which we'll get onto in a moment. But first we'll take a look at his articulation to get that out the way. You have a full 360 at the head, because the head's on a ball joint. It can also pivot from side to side slightly. It can look up and also down to a very wide degree, because he goes forward and down on this joint here. His arms can come out to roughly 90 degrees, but not really, because it's hindered by the shape of the shirt. You have a full 360 at the bicep, a double bend on the arm, which allows you to bring his arm up to here, a full 360 at the hand, and also forward and back. Then you have a forward and back ab crunch joint, which can go back quite far, but not very far forward. You have a full 360 at the waist. You can bring the legs right the way forward to 90 degrees. You have rotation at the top of the leg, a double joint bend on the knee, which allows you to bring the legs right the way back. And then you have forward and back joint on the foot, as well as pivoting, twisting from side to side. So overall, very basic. You know, it is just a basic figure in very many ways. And I've said this before, you know, in my previous Sandman reviews, I would love to see a Sandman that is really sand, you know, like a proper Sandman. But instead, what we keep getting seems to be just generic reuses of previous figures, which is really starting to irritate me. I kind of wish they'd go a bit above and beyond with this figure instead of just giving us, you know, the minimum every time. However, in saying that, I do think the body that they've chosen is very good. It represents the character very well and how the character appeared. There are certain things which I do really like about the sculpt. I do love the creases in the t-shirt. Everything's painted really nicely. The colours are very good. I love the texturing in the trousers. You've got that very nice kind of fabric look to it, as well as all the creases. You've got the pockets sculpted on there. You've even got this nice little seam going down here, you know, just to bring it to life a bit more, which is very nice. I do wish there was some more colour on his boots. I don't know if it's just my eyes, but I'm picking it up as a very glossy dark brown, but it's a very, very dark brown, so it almost comes across as black. But yeah, it looks nice. I do have a gripe, especially with the arms. A lot of people have pointed this out. Sadly, the skin colour is different on the arms than it is on the hands because they've been very lazy with this. They've sculpted the whole arm in green plastic and they've just painted over the top. And unfortunately, they haven't painted enough because the green still shows through, which does give me concern. Oh, that's fallen off the table. Which does give me concern for interchanging the arms with these things, which we'll also get onto in a moment. So yeah, I'm quite upset that they've done that. I wish that, you know, they maybe just, I don't know, done it a better way, but it's not terrible. You know, is it a massive, massive thing? Honestly, no. In fact, you can barely even notice it when he's on the shelf. But my biggest gripe with this figure is the head sculpt. Now, don't get me wrong, this is a nice head sculpt, it really is. But I just don't like that this is, you know, his standard head sculpt. I kind of wish that it had been more of a solemn face instead. A bit like they've given us with this head sculpt here. I almost feel like they should have done this the opposite way. But instead they decided to go with this, and it is nice. It does look like the character, definitely, especially his more classic look. You know, you've got that really kind of, yeah, you have his traditional hairline, and then that very kind of bulky, angry look that he has. But another gripe that I have with this figure, sadly, the quality control hasn't been so good on this one. So, as I said, I went into my local Forbidden Planet and I found, and it, you know, there were about 5 of them on the shelf, you know, on the pegs. So I was like, oh, they must have only just got these in. So I decided to see which one was the best. And sadly, out of all of them I found, none of them had the eyes painted very well. None of them at all, in fact. The eyes are very splodgy. They haven't been put on with much care. And also mine, sadly, has a bit of a splodge on his shirt there. It's a minor gripe, I know. And to be honest, I've seen some that look far, far worse. One of them that did have slightly better eyes, though, had a huge problem with this head. There was this horrible black splodge of paint down here, so, you know, because I'm so fussy, I really wanted to get the best one, so this one was the one that I ended up getting, which, you know, I am happy with it, but it's just something to keep in mind. If you are going to buy this figure, it might be worth buying him online. You know, just buying him... If you are going to buy this figure, it might be worth buying him in store, just so that you make sure you can get the best looking one. You know, the trouble when you order things offline, they kind of just put anyone in the post and send it to you, and then you kind of have to go with what you've got. So just something to keep in mind. If you can get this guy in store, I would highly recommend that you do so, just so you know you don't get one with really dodgy eyes. That's just my recommendation. Another huge gripe is where they've printed the product code. Why? Why have you done this? You look where they've printed it. That's ridiculous. So you guys are telling me you couldn't print it on the back like you normally do? Hell, I hate the fact that you even have to do this. Why do you have to? You know, older figures like the Toy Biz figures don't have this. You know, the Toy Biz Sandman has all the legal stuff on the feet, and it's sculpted on there. Look, no drawings anywhere, no bloody product codes. Why do you have to keep doing this? You know, it just... I really wish I could get that off, but sadly I can't. I mean, it's not too noticeable, but it's like, once you see it, you can't unsee it. So yeah, that's irritating. So, I think considering for Sandman, it's time that we showed off the fact that he is Sandman. So, he comes with 2 interchangeable hands, a mace and a giant sand fist, and these are secured to the arms. Well, they come with these other sand effects that slide over the wrists to give it that kind of effect that, you know, it's not just this big hand clipped onto a tiny wrist, because that would look weird. It kind of blends the wrist into the big hand, which I really like, actually. It looks very cool. So we'll just get that done. So to do it, you simply pop off the hand and you slide this on. Just try and get it as level as you can. And then take this and just clip it into place. Now, there are no hinges with these, so they can't move forward and back. They can just rotate. And there you are. So, he's got his sand fist, which I already think is a really cool look. And then for the other side, exactly the same. This one is slightly bigger for the mace. You start with the smallest end, and then you just clip that on. I do find, for me, that the mace is slightly more difficult to get on. Just put that on there. There we are. And here he is. And can I just say, like, look at the difference that makes. You know, that really does completely change the figure. So that's actually really impressive. I really like that. And it looks very convincing. You know, I love the way it actually does look like the sand is coming from him and forming this mace. My one complaint is on the right arm, I don't think it's quite long enough, because you do still have that little bit of skin showing there, which, you know, I'm not so fond of. I really wish they'd done a better job with that. But what I do like is at the end, you've got these sort of bits here. So it does look like it's actually forming the hand. It looks like it's one thing. And then you've got this very nice sort of dripping effect here. I absolutely love the texture. I think this is some of the best sand texturing we've had on a Sandman figure. In nice colours, you've got this nice mix of lighter beiges and yellows and this nice brown over the top, just to really give it that sort of sand feel. Very, very nice, honestly, I mean that sincerely. This is why the figure is growing on me, because, you know, when you have him displayed like that, it's a world of difference. So, of course, you do also have the option of his swappable head, which we'll get onto right now. So I'm going to show you this before I put it on, but if you're wondering why he's going for the T1000 look, if you have your Ultimate Articulated Spider-Man, you can pop the hand off like this, slide the wrist through, and then clip the hand back on like so. So yeah, it actually does look as if Spider-Man has punched through the hand, which I think is so cool. That is very cool, actually, and I can't wait. I did get these guys in an amazing display pose where they were battling, and it was great. So yeah, that's very cool, and the fact that they give you that option is really well done. But we will swap out the heads, so get him off Spider-Man. To swap out the heads, you simply take your figure, pop it off, nice and simple enough with this head. As you can see, there's the ball joint. Getting this head on, however, like most separate heads, is quite a task. Might take a little bit of heating up for some of you. I remember when I first got him out the box, it just wasn't working at all. There we go, I think I've got it. Right, and here he is. Now, despite what most people are saying, I actually prefer this head sculpt. I'm not gonna lie, I like it. I really do. I love the solemn face. I love the sand down there. Maybe this is a little bit too, you know, maybe it would have been better if they'd have just had it cut down there, or maybe just leaking down his neck. Maybe that would have been cooler. I do really love the idea though. And you still got that nice beige with the brown wash over the top. And then what I do love is you've actually got the white of his eye here, so that's quite, you know, that's very cool. But I just prefer this, and I don't know what it is, I like it. You know, the eyes painted very well, eyebrows really nice. But when you put it next to the standard head, it's like a completely different guy. That's what I don't like about it. It looks like a completely different person. And actually, when I come to displaying this guy on the shelf, I think this is going to be how I display him. You know, most people would like to go with just the standard head sculpt. I actually prefer this one, to be quite honest. You know, it's purely personal preference, and I'm sure it will be good whichever way you do it, but you know, you could even mix it up where you have one of his arms as sand and then the other as just the regular arm. It's honestly up to you guys. And, you know, I think my biggest complaint is I'd have liked to have seen more with this figure just because I love Sandman so much. But at the same time, for the price that you're paying, you're actually getting, you know, you're definitely getting your money's worth. And I think it's great. Really, I think this figure fits in very well with the other retro card figures, and you know, if you want to have him, battling Spider-Man or working with Spider-Man, you know, you can do that, and he looks very good. He doesn't look out of place, and he's great going in with these other figures. So doing a comparison now, guys, here he is next to the OG Toy Biz Sandman, and as you can see, this Toy Biz Sandman is quite the ways bigger, but I still feel like in spite of that, he still goes very well with the Spider-Man figure. I still feel like, you know, because the Sandman can change his size, he still fits in well as this, but I do love his more down-to-earth scale. You know, he definitely looks more like he should, if that makes sense with this one. And for something a bit more extreme, here we have the Diamond Select Sandman. So these are all three of my Sandman figures. Well, actually, I do have another one, a Spider-Man 3 one, but it's more of a toy, you know, it's more of a kid's toy. These are my collector's figures. So putting them all side by side, I think each and every one of these figures has something good about it, you know, something that's unique and stands out about it. But I think as a Sandman that goes with the rest of the Marvel Legends, especially the retro wave Spider-Man figures, this Sandman is the one to go for. However, I still find myself leaning ever so slightly more to the Toy Biz one. The Diamond Select one is nice, definitely, especially with the accessories that you get, but I don't know. I do feel, actually, as though this Sandman, he does have something special about him. I think his sand effects are the best out of all three. You know, I absolutely love the way the paint has been applied. I love the texture. And I think it's nice to have a normal looking Flint Marco in the scale with these figures, and then you can make him as Sandman as you want. You get that option. But my dream is to see a complete Sandman, you know, maybe a big figure, kind of like a Hulk size figure, so you could really have, you know, Sandman in full-on battle mode. That would be really awesome. You know, whether or not we'll get that, only time will tell. But Hasbro, please. I think the inclusion of the swappable head is an absolutely brilliant idea, and the sand accessories have the best paint I've ever seen on any sand accessories. The only Sandman figure I don't have to compare is the Build-A-Wave Sandman figure due to its rarity, and, you know, it's very expensive if you are actually able to come across it. But out of the three Sandman figures that I have, this Sandman definitely has the best sand, which is a huge plus, especially if you're a sucker for detail like I am. But overall, I really don't think this figure will disappoint you, so I am going to give this figure a well-deserved 8 out of 10, and the reason why I don't rank it higher, even though I wish I could, is because I just want more, and once again, I feel like when it comes to Sandman, they always seem to take the easiest option. I would love to see a gigantic battle-ready Sandman to fight Spider-Man. However, I do think this figure goes extremely well with the Spider-Man, with the super articulation. They work really well together, and I would say if you're looking for a Sandman to go best suited in scale to your Spider-Man figures in the retro wave, this Sandman is a must. So I'd like to thank you all for watching my Sandman review. Please leave a like and a comment, let me know what you guys thought of this figure, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button to stay updated with more content. I will have many more reviews of Marvel Legends coming soon on this channel, and I will be sure to include the Diamond Select Sandman, as I haven't quite gotten around to reviewing him yet. So I hope you've had a pleasant and wonderful day wherever you are in the world. Stay safe and happy, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.